So last week we covered what is your credit score and why it's important. So really, it just applies to borrowing money, your interest rates, getting a job, some jobs, to full credit, your insurance rates, and then also your security deposits. What makes up your credit score? So there's going to be some weight to that. There's what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variables that go into that. The most important one that's going to be your payment history. So that accounts for approximately 40% of your credit score. So it's going to be good, history, bad history. That's going to have an impact on your score. Another variable that goes into account is going to be your credit usage. So that's going to be your credit lines on your credit cards. I think last month we did touch base on what is ideal credit usage. That's going to be about 30%. So if your credit card is going to have a $1,000 limit, what the banks or the financial institutions would like to see ideally is $300 usage. They don't want to see you maxing out that card. So if for any reason like you're hitting your limit often, it might be a good idea to reconsider that credit card limit just so you fall into that area of 30%. Another one that's going to take into account is going to be that credit age. It's good when you have those older accounts, and especially when it's good history there. Let's see, and then about 10% of your credit score is going to account for your account mix. So if you just have your credit card on there and that's all you have, it's not a bad thing if it's in good standing, but if you have like a credit card, car, or mortgage on there, that's going to look better just because you have more diversity. And then the one that's going to has the least impact on your credit score, but it still has an impact nonetheless, is just going to be your inquiries. So if you go shopping around for cars and the dealer just starts sending out applications to a bunch of different banks, that's going to have an impact on your score as well. There's nothing wrong with applying for a car at the dealership. Yeah, go ahead.
Isn't there a difference between a hard inquiry and a soft inquiry?
That is correct. Yep. Yeah.
Can you explain what that is a little bit so
Sure thing. So the soft inquiries, those aren't going to show up on your credit score. I think one credit bureau in particular, I think there might be TransUnion, don't quote me on that, but that's a soft pull. When you do like your inquiries, like say annually to review your credit report, those are going to be soft pulls. Those are going to show up on your credit report. But going back to the dealerships, if you shop around first and you find a bank with a good rate, go with that. That way, you're only going to have that one pull from that bank rather than going from the dealer, and now you have a bunch of pulls. But just a suggestion. And then some things that don't necessarily affect your credit score, that's going to be your debt ratios. How much you owe banks versus how much you make. Your income's not going to go into accountability, neither is like your length of residency at your house, and also your length of employment. But some things that can hurt your credit score: late payments, maxing out your credit cards, frequent credit applications, loan defaults, limited credit types, closing your old accounts, ignoring credit report errors. So if you see something on your credit report that just doesn't seem right and you don't address it, that could have a negative effect on your credit as well. Bankruptcies, foreclosures, repossessions, accounts in collections, and even no activity. Personally, I would disagree with that one, the no activity, because if there's no activity, it's not bad, it's not good. It's just good to have activity. And some ways to improve your score. The biggest thing is just paying those bills on time. That's the best thing that you can do. Pay your bills, reduce your debt, and then check for any errors and increase your credit limits when needed. Because all you're trying to do is just avoid maxing out that 5%. Maintain your old accounts. You can do that. Limit hard inquiries. So, like if you're shopping around, just make sure that you're dedicated to whatever you're buying. So if it's a house, don't apply for that loan if you're not confident you're going to want that house. Diversify your credit types. Negotiate with your creditors too. If you owe them or if something's in collections, try to reason with them. They might be willing to settle on that credit if you can come up with half or something. If you're having troubles with credit cards, you can even maybe become an authorized user. So if you know somebody with a credit card or they got an account elsewhere, maybe you can be a user on that account as well. You can do secured credit cards. I'm not too sure if that's too common right now. you're just gonna have to come up with some sort of collateral to secure that credit, whether it might be a cash security or maybe some other type of physical collateral. And then the biggest thing here, just to keep in mind, is if you feel like you're in a position where you can improve your credit score, you can break that cycle. You're never stuck in one spot. There's going to be strategies that you can come up with to get out of that. And it's very common to feel trapped, but just remember, if you come up with a strategy, you stick to that plan, and you just stay with it, be consistent, you can get out of it. The first step is just stop creating new debt, stop borrowing, and use this offers like 0% payments for X amount of months. If you're shopping around and there's a need for that, then yeah, that might be a good product to seek out. Reconsider your big purchases. So if you're thinking about maybe appliances or maybe a vehicle, just consider repairing that first rather than taking on your debt. And then stick to your payment plan too. I think last month we did touch base on budgeting. If you came up with that budget, stick with it and stay consistent. And then understand who your debtors are, or creditors. You would just want to identify them, determine the total amount owed, the interest rates, and minimum payments. If you can refinance to get a lesser payment, less interest to the banks, is more money in your pocket. And then just going back to the refinancing, some institutions, if you have a loan with them, if they lower the rate, touch base with them. They may have like a program where there's free refinancing, maybe like a one-time exception that they do. Are there any questions so far?
You say, like, missed payments. Obviously,
Oh, yes.
you don't want to miss too many payments. How long does that affect that score? Like, if that's the biggest part of the credit score, does missing one payment have a huge impact on that score?
As for how much it's going to bring it down, I'm not too sure, but yes, it's going to bring it down. It can stay on your credit score. I believe it's like 2 years and up to 7 years, even if it's current.
Okay. And then if you're trying to rebuild your credit, let's say, whatever happens, you try to get that credit to rebuild, what's the best way to start going about that?
Pull your credit score, figure out where you're at. That's the biggest thing. How are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, thanks. So once you pull your credit score and you find out where you're at, that's kind of the biggest thing you can do at that point. So just identify where your money's going to, who you owe, and make sure those are current. If you're behind any payments, call that creditor and try to work something out.
So pull your credit, see where you're at,
Mm-hmm.
and then,
Start making phone calls if you have to. If you notice anything that's like unauthorized or maybe possible identity
Maybe
theft.
some disputes and stuff.
yeah, that's what I heard
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah.
They gotta respond in like 30 to 60 days or something like that, and if it doesn't, then it comes off your credit report,
Mm-hmm.
and that should help it go back up.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Getting maybe a secured credit card, you know what I mean, from your credit union or wherever you bank at to try to keep that usage rate to where you are and make those payments.
Yeah.
Histories on time, or payment history continue to go back up. I heard that was another good way of trying to get it up.
I've heard too, like, yeah, under 30% is good, but then also under 10%.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
understand.
Yeah, 30% is like the bare minimum, but yeah, like up to 10% is like really good.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's good.
So do medical bills or not paying medical bills affect people's credit?
Yeah, because they may show up as collections.
Same thing as, like, student loans and all of that.
Yep. Yeah, gonna show up on there too.
Didn't Illinois just pass a law January 1st though, that it,
Medical bills.
in Illinois, if you have medical bills and collections, it can't affect your credit?
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was like January 1st it just passed.
I heard that's
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think generally that's a thing, but Illinois, they stopped it.
Oh,
Which, I mean, I think it's good, you know?
yeah.
So,
And then when you do pull your credit score, they're all gonna pretty much have the same information on there, but the format's gonna be different depending on what credit bureau you go to. But essentially, they're gonna want like your social security number, your date of birth, all your personal identifying information. Sometimes you might be hesitant to give that out, but to the credit bureaus, that's perfectly okay to do that.
did you include, and I apologize,
No, you're good.
we can find the free credit report? Because you get one a year, right?
Yes.
What
Yep.
was where can you find it?
Yes, that's gonna be on the three credit bureaus. That's gonna be TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax.
Oh, you have to go to them?
You have to go
on all of them?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Down the end, refresh it once a month.
Again, I think you said last time too, what you wanted to try to like, to get a better understand, or better, accurate score throughout the year is to try to utilize one at the beginning of the year, one towards the middle.
Oh, yeah,
and
just
one towards-
spread it out.
Instead of using all three of them at one time, and then you don't know if, let's say at the beginning of the year, you get it, your credit score is 675. Now, if you do all three, you won't know, you gotta wait a whole nother year to get a hard another, or whatever, the inquiry. If you wait to the middle, if you're trying to improve it, then that way you can get one from another one, see if it's going up or see if it's going down.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, it's just that tracking throughout the year rather than just getting rid of, all of them all right away. There's nothing wrong with that, but.
And do you suggest, because we deal with a lot of veterans and they find it hard to even discuss these things, you know what I mean? But trying to find them the right place to go to possibly rebuild their credit. Is there a place or would you just suggest that they figure it out themselves? As far as, I know that there are places that do help assist with that, but they charge, their fees can be pretty high.
Yeah, that's gonna be the offset to that. Reach out to your bank first, they might have a service, because I know Advia Credit Union, we do have financial advisors, and you can sit down with somebody to try to rebuild your credit and come up with a plan. We do have a product called the Credit Saver, so what you're doing is you're taking, say $1,000 cash, putting that out against a loan, so the loan is secured by your cash, and you're just making payments towards that, and at the end of the term, we report that, you're gonna get that $1,000 that you put down secured, and then whatever payments you put in towards that, so you're getting all that money back. And then that, reflects on the credit score that rebuild. But yeah, definitely reach out to, your local banks.
So it's not really any shortcuts, you need to just do the right things.
Yeah.
But you did mention the, kind of piggybacking off somebody else's credit card. I heard that was a thing to where it can help your credit shoot up because they've had a long history of this credit card use or this credit card. Their payment history is good. They've done all the things they need to do.
Yep.
That can impact your credit score in a good way. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, because it's still getting reported on there, like, say my name,
You just best be sure that person, is gonna do good.
Yep.
I mean, I know people that have had negative experiences with that, but.
Yeah, it's just like co-signing on a car, you just gotta make sure that
Yeah.
Well, you really want to pay it yourself if they can.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, but at least with the credit card, you don't even physically have to have that credit card. The person who needs help with their credit, the person that's already been doing this for years, it's just, you're just kind of, you're on it, you know what I mean, but you're really not using it. You're on it just to get yours up. But I've heard that's how a lot of parents help their kids start out with their, helping them build their credit the way that they need to by being able to have them as users on their credit cards.
Yeah.
And making those payments for them so they're not getting themselves in those situations that some of us had growing up where they just did not understand credit at all.
Oh, yeah. And then when you do pull that credit report, There's gonna be a lot of information on there, so there could be like public records, bankruptcies, hopefully there isn't, but and there could be adverse action forms on there, the collections for medical payments. Oh, let's see, what else could be on there? Obviously the auto loans, and then it's gonna be the payment history too, so you're gonna see if you're current on there, if anything was missed, if anything was late, 30 to 60, 90 days. You're gonna see when the loan was opened up, current balances, interest rates, pretty much everything about that loan is gonna be on your credit report. And plus, if you do see something that's unusual on there, there's often phone numbers on there too as well, so you can just, it's gonna be a little bit easier to just read that. And hopefully you guys aren't ever victims of identity theft, but I do have a recovery plan here that I can email out. It's about 30 pages, but it goes over everything. So if you ever encounter credit card, automotive, mortgage loans, even utility bills, medicals, criminal charges, judgments, bankruptcies, there's a list of everything that you need to address that. There's even letters on here that you can use if the creditor needs that or a requirement. You can type something up and it's pretty much filled with blank on here too. So, like I said, hopefully you never have to come across it. It's a huge headache, but this is the tools that you need to hopefully recover from that. That's pretty much all I have. Did anybody pull their credit last month?
I did not.
No?
I pulled mine this morning.
Oh, you did? Okay.
That's good. With mine, I just want to kind of,
Well, on the app, something.
Yeah. Their credit card plus two other, their credit card, and then I think Experian does another.
Yeah, I use Experian for that.
Yeah, there's credit card plus TransUnion and, what is the other one?
Equifax, yeah.
And then Experian has their own app. I was just down those to check it. They update it monthly. You always know where they're at, so it's fine.
Yeah.
and I remember you're saying too, like the credit unions have those credit scores inside of the apps, like I guess where I generally get to see mine as far as like how I'm doing and all of that. And you said those are maybe not as accurate, but pretty accurate as to what their score may look like as well.
Yeah, it's a good representation.
But no, I wanted to see, obviously we're all here. I really want to try to buy a house. I wanted to, you know what I mean? And I just, any advice, anybody here who's a homeowner, can just say how you went through that process, how it was for you, what you wish you would have done or that you didn't do, you know what I mean? Things that you know now, any advice?
I think you gotta save up to 20%.
No, I've heard the loan.
Okay, so I had to go into
The loans with no money down.
And that's if you qualify for it, right? Because some, as much as we all do, that's the thing too, right? We all qualify for the VA home loan. Just because how does that look? You know, Sean?
I don't know it completely, so I've got a friend of mine who's actually, he's a realtor here in Henry County, and he specifically works with veterans, and he's got a little program for veterans specific that are looking to purchase homes, and they kind of just give you a breakdown of what steps you need to do. Obviously, credit is a big factor, and then your income, you never want to buy something outside of the means of your budget.
The VA loan is a guaranteed loan, so we start with the VA.gov website and you get a pre-qualification certificate letter. And then you take that to whoever you want to finance the house. And then
Did you have to have like a minimum credit score and all
credit had to be decent. The biggest bitch for me was provable income.
that? Right.
So you guarantee a loan, but, if you're trying to buy $1 million house, they might be like.
Right, all right, so you sign up with the VA and they say, yeah, we'll guarantee a loan for you up to $400,000. You take that letter up to your bank and say, okay, well, look, you don't go up to 250. Like, yeah, great, the VA guarantees you, but like, according to your monthly income, your debt to credit ratio is not really,
Right.
all there, they've got a lot of hoops to jump through now, because everybody defaulted during COVID, and now
And you got that debt to income ratio,
they're, yeah,
and I don't know what that is. You may know what the debt to income ratio is.
it's gotta be like fucking zero to get home.
Really?
I think, gosh, what, I think it's like,
I want to say it's like 35 or 40%.
Yeah, it's about
somewhere there about what your income is what you can use for a mortgage.
correct, yeah.
So that'd be one third of your expenses, right?
Yeah.
One third of your expenses has to be able to cover the mortgage.
Now, does that also, cover with your VA disability, your service connections, does that count as income?
That's
Yeah.
actually- So whatever your source of income, whether it's a job or you have VA money, VA disability or social security disability, or you're getting any child support from your ex-wife, that's all income that you can report. As far as more alimony, alimony,
Oh, they do not take into account if you get the property tax exemption.
Do you not?
They do not. So like, if you get property tax exemption, you have $5,000 annual allowance, like $500 a month. That adds another $500 to your mortgage. So if your mortgage is like $800, and then your taxes will be a good chip of like $1,300. That's the only way they go up for. That number has to be 1/3, no greater than 1/3 of your monthly income.
And I feel like that's pretty good, that they're not want to give more than that anyways, right? But the problem is, it's like the average home now is what, 200-300 grand?
Yeah.
And so, what is the mortgage on that?
like on average, a $250,000 house, your mortgage is about $18,000 to $2,000.
Yeah.
$18,000 to $2,000.
Yeah, so that's a third of your income.
At the current interest rate that is at right now.
6%.
So that's a third of your income. How much do you have to make for that to be a third of your income?
Right.
That's something to consider, you gotta be making like $6,000 a month.
That's why the biggest bitch is provable income.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like even if
So, yeah, it's really hard right now for a lot of people, like, I got lucky, like, my mortgage is only $1,100. So,
Yeah.
like,
your property taxes.
I just recently got up over 7, so I need to
Go to the tax assessor's office and drop off your benefits there. That's how you do it.
Yeah, I just, like, 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing now, it's like the worst time to buy.
Yeah. You'd be better off.
Well, like I said, he's a Marine Corps veteran, and he's a realtor, and I can, he can come here and do it.
Yeah, that'd be great, that'd be great.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
Almost better off buying land.
Yeah,
Because you can get a VA loan from land.
can you get a VA, you can get a VA loan for a business too, right?
Yeah, it's just different.
How does that whole process work though? Like, you just go online, say because I've had people send me shit all the time, and I'm like, oh, about this.
It's like a 43-page business plan they have to submit.
Yeah,
That's not easy to get a VA business loan.
but as far as the VA home loan usage, like you just go online, you fill everything out. Do they find different is it lenders that they find you, or they're just bagging the loan no matter what?
They're pretty much backing the loan, and then most times, a realtor has mortgage brokers that they work with. Those brokers are the ones that will work with the VA and figure out exactly what the payment's going to be, what you can afford, what you can afford, what the your loan.
You're better off finding a bank first.
I mean, the problem, to me, you're better off just saving up the money. Because I don't want to pay interest on anything. And so if I'm gonna start a business, I guess depending on what it is, I would just try to save up to 10 grand, 20 grand, or whatever.
Well,
And obviously, it's some crazy amount.
if you have a business, your home loan is gonna be the lowest interest rate loan you have. You get a VA home loan, it's like 2%. You get a business loan, it's gonna be like 10%. So what you do is you
Take it out.
take a home equity loan on your home, because you're only paying 2% on that. That's the best way to do it.
So you suggest just taking the VA home loan, using that, and saving the money and putting it back into the home after that?
For a business, well, yeah, you still gotta build up.
So yeah, so if your house is worth 300 grand, for example, but you owe 150.
Got 150.
Yeah, 150 equity, you use that
So
for.
you can borrow against your business.
Yeah.
So you borrow 2% interest on that versus getting a business loan and having to pay back.
10%.
Yeah.
I was been told that your home mortgage loan is one that you just never pay off. You just keep building equity, keep borrowing against that one loan. Like, you get a home equity loan, go buy a car, not pay your 18% car loan.
So ideal situation for a veteran, let's say a veteran like AB here. Doing okay financially, you know what I mean? Let's say he's at the debt threshold, 6,000 a month. 650 credit score. How does that look for somebody like him? What is the first step he should do in order to, in your guys' eyes, like I said, this is just us. If he's saying, I want to buy a home, what would you recommend he do first?
Well, they're gonna have to keep his job. They're gonna have at least a year, probably up to 2 years now, steady income.
Well, the first thing is,
Like with W-2 approval.
the first thing I want to give him props is the only one that's here. Right? We're all staff, except for, you know, and that's, hey, props for that, right? I mean, he's right
I mean,
now.
I think step one is obviously, besides improving the income and credit score, your credit is decent enough to purchase a home. You find that realtor that you can trust, depending on where you want to live, where you're looking to live at. And like I said, in this area, I have a first time to refer you to, he covers Northern Illinois, Southern Wisconsin.
Let's see.
You really want to.
So it's basically the first thing is finding a realtor you trust. Like finding a good realtor, knowing the area that you want to live in, and doing all of that would be the first suggestion. Then it would be, what would the next? I heard you mention, Adam, about the income coming in. They want to see a history of the income coming in. You want to, your job history is just as important as your credit history in buying a home.
Yeah.
So if you're
Or
just,
if you buy a car,
Yeah.
that could be a problem, because if you bounce from job to job every month.
so if they see you have because they're gonna look at all this stuff, they see you have a history of going to work, you've been at your job for 20 years, you know what I'm saying? They're like, all right, well, we know he's getting up and going to work every day to be able to pay, as opposed to somebody who's 3 months here, off a long period of time, 3 months there, you know what I mean? Like, they're more likely to not approve you for that loan. So that's something you have to consider. And then after that, is it, once you find that realtor, find kind of what's in your budget, what you think your ideal home, you know what I mean? How does that work? How do you know?
Yeah, this was my process. We went to a broker and the broker said, okay, based on your 2 incomes, it's like, this is the amount of mortgage that you could afford. And then, like, obviously the purchase price of the house could be more than that, but we would just have to produce that down payment to accommodate that gap.
See, I found the lender first, because then you don't use a broker, because the broker's gonna tap their percentage on top of your loan. So you find the realtor you can trust and
Well,
find a bank directly.
and you mentioned like getting, refinancing a home or whatever, but I'm afraid like with that kind of stuff, they're gonna try to tack on some, okay, yeah, we'll give you a better interest rate.
But you're getting hit with fees.
Right, we get hit with fees, and it's like, well, then you might as well just hit me up with front interest rates on the back at that point.
Well, that's,
You're charging me
well,
extra
that's why,
money.
I think we're all against the other, any contract, whether it's for a car or a home, you have to read everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Don't sign anything until you are 100% confident in what you're signing. first and foremost with anything, Fred, I learned that when I got my business. Is, here we got a business loan, and me and my partner signed it, and next you know, we got some additional fees that we didn't realize because somebody didn't read the fine print. Feel 100% confident, and if you're not confident, ask those questions. Say, hey, I'm not 100% confident in X, Y, Z, A, B, C, whatever it is. They have to.
Or what does this mean?
Exactly. Explain to me what this balloon payment on a mortgage is. I don't know what this balloon is. Well, a balloon can really screw somebody over. Not through a VA loan, but other FHA can really screw you over with a balloon payment on a mortgage.
Interest up front.
Yeah. Payments, and all of a sudden after 5 years, you have $20,000 on the balloon, and you have to come up with it. That's all the things that we have to read.
Yeah.
Read the contract.
Those VA loan, they can't structure a VA loan.
No, VA loan can't structure like that. So, for those that don't qualify for the VA loan, because there are people that we service that will not qualify for the VA loan. Just to be real.
So is that the, what else, what other advice as far as like just,
I mean, this is what I tell like all of us that work with, it's like, just gotta use some of that military discipline, everything you do, right? Do the right thing. Right? Don't take shortcuts because there's shortcuts. Same thing with losing weight. Like, people are, oh, trying this fad diet or this, these ab crunches or whatever. It's like, no, you just gotta put in the work. Right. You gotta eat right, and see the finances.
Yeah.
There's no shortcut, so crypto this and that, and it's like, dude, just.
Well, and you have to look at it, house. Yes, a house is a place to live, but it's also an investment. You're investing into that property. And it could be short term, where you're only gonna be here 3 or 5 years, or it could be like me, I've been there 25 years. You have to look at that and look at the area you want, how big of a house you want, plan for the future. You don't want to end up buying a small little 1,000 square foot house that's 2 bedroom, 1 bath. 3 years down the road and you have 4 kids, you can't live in that house because it doesn't work. But you don't also want to go buy a 10,000 square foot house and go beyond your means.
no, I think it's one thing we all strive to do, you know what I mean, is to be those homeowners, you know what I mean, and have that security of knowing, you know what I mean, you've done something. A lot of us did not grow up understanding a lot of this. Like I said, this is how it is, which is why we're trying to have these classes, to just open the conversation up so we are comfortable with it. But what you just hit on, I think, is a very good point as far as like just like anything else that we have to do while we're in the military, like just be disciplined, do the work, don't take shortcuts. Like I really like that. So
Yeah.
Would all this apply to a condo as well, or no?
Yeah, so if you're looking to buy a condo, same rules apply. Now, what you have to watch out, and it's even with housing, you have to watch out. I know myself, when we have HOA, which are homeowners associations.
Yeah, no.
Those aren't part of your mortgage, that's a completely separate bill that you're gonna get every
Well,
month.
if you're getting a good benefit out of it, then maybe.
And you have to weigh that option of the condo's gonna have to.
I could use it as like $300 or $400 or whatever. And you have to add that onto your payment and your insurance, like all of it. So, I mean, it can make a big difference, like where you live.
And I always go up every year.
Or the worst.
yeah, and there's limitations as to what you can still do as a homeowner. Like,
Well, yeah.
basically,
These are the people that come to your house and tell you, oh, you have 2 cars parked out, you can only be 1.
Yeah.
You left your lights on at 9 p.m. Take it down and we're gonna give you a fine.
no, you can't have plants.
Grass is too long,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, you didn't ask for permission to cut that tree down. It's my property.
Our homeowner association is horrible. We both live in the same place, and it's a horrible association. That's just.
Most of them are, though.
That's how we're
They get way too power hungry.
told my realtor no HOAs.
But, well, that's a discussion, you know, when the meeting was.
Something you gotta think about though, for real, like, that's real good
If
advice.
you're looking at a condo, you know, that whoever you're working with, whatever realtor, you know, someone flat out pays. I know there's gonna be an HOA, but I don't want to pay for HOA. Or if I am, what are my benefits?
Yeah, like why is the pool draining? Right. 400 feet.
Yeah,
You know, why is there, why did they plow the street, why did they, you know, just all that stuff?
And I think with the condominiums, you don't own the outside of the house.
No, you
Yeah, it's just the inside.
Right.
So typically with those HOAs, you're going to pay significantly more than you would if you just own a house in an HOA community. Thankfully with mine, it's only like $35. I don't know what they do.
they don't bother me, that's all right.
Well, that's it, I mean, it just depends on the area.
Yeah, I feel like $100 a year,
Little housing subdivision they have.
can I get lake lights and stuff?
No.
Okay, I mean, that's.
Yeah, I have dead trees on my house.
No, that's a good question, though. But that is something, 100% right, like those HOAs, be low.
Always find out what your realtor's percentage is before you start. Before you sign a contract with the realtor, because you can't get out of the contract with the realtor.
You can't?
No, it's difficult to get out of it.
Really?
Yeah, it's hard to
There's ways to, but it's.
Like, what do you mean by that?
do. Like, you have to buy it out, you have to buy them out.
Oh, you're, oh,
Most realtors that are gonna work with people, and especially veterans, they're gonna charge no more than 3%. If you're paying over 3% for the realtor, you're paying too much.
Yeah, standard, it's 5% is, like, middle of the road now. Real good realtor is 1.6.
Does that VA loan help too with closing costs and all of that?
You gotta ask them too, because they can waive the closing costs. They can do it, they did it for me. And then there's also the title fees. That's different. Sometimes it's different.
Inspections and all of that stuff?
The VA will provide you one inspection.
Oh, really?
For free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the VA will. Because
And I know VA loan, their inspection process is way more stringent than FHA.
Can't have any
That
crap
would
to
be a
pay.
conventional loan.
You can't buy fucked up house in the VA. It's gotta be, you can't have any cracks in the paint, you can't have any plumbing issues.
Yeah, we had somebody that did that and fucking, it was hell. It was hell for him. He used to be a home loan and the realtor screwed him off. You know what I'm talking about?
oh, yeah.
Yeah, screwed him over, and luckily he was able to get the help because his roof, the foundation and the roof was all fucked up, and where his son's room was, it was leaking down in there. And it was just a nightmare, because he had just moved into the home, you know what I mean? And trying to figure everything out. But luckily, he was able to get some help. I think, I know it was Habitat for Humanity?
Yep.
Helped him out to fix the roof and the siding and all of that stuff. But some of those, the story of that, though, it was just a nightmare. Because this was his first time buying a home. He trusted that realtor and trusted that everything that realtor did was on the up and up. And then as soon as, he wasn't there in 30 days.
No, I think that's a big thing is you have to do your due diligence.
Man,
No matter if you're buying a car, buy a home, do your due diligence, Don't go to that first Chevy dealership and buy the Trans Am or the Corvette because you love that
I
color.
mean, we've all seen it in the military.
Yeah. They were giving it away here. One for you, one for you.
Don't hold the heat for 30% interest.
Oh, that's also my Mustang, and then I'm like, come on, dude. They were like 19 years old when I was brand new Mustang.
50% interest.
Yeah.
They say he's still paying for that.
From 20 years ago.
It's a classic now, bro. It's a classic. Yeah, it is. No, I think that helped clear up some things. Obviously, we'll talk more about this. I think that's one of the things that, like I said, most of us strive to do is be that homeowner, but just understanding it, especially for a lot of the younger vets and older, too that may be in that situation.
I mean, I see, and the thing is that a lot of people don't, you almost gotta audit yourself, you know what I mean? Like, how am I doing, right? And then like, I see people, I mean, helping us with jobs, like, I see people that are like in their sixties, they don't have anything saved. And then it's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing, man? Like, one of the jobs, I don't even saved, like,
Well, that's where last month, when we came, talking about the budget and stuff, I wasn't here for that, but talking about budget's important, just as important as your credit.
yeah.
And sometimes more so than your credit. Because if you can't live within your means of credit you make, if your outgoing is way more than your income, you're never gonna be able to buy that house.
They're gonna want to see your budget too. They're gonna want to have your financial history.
Yeah, Steve,
Your tax returns and all of that too as well, right? They do your tax returns too, right? For the past, how many years does it go back?
I really want to do 3 years of tax return.
3 years of tax returns?
I mean, I try to not take out loans, like, help it. I mean, credit card, all that stuff.
What was that program, Ricardo, that you were talking to me about a couple weeks back?
Yeah,
Dave
it's
Ramsey?
Dave Ramsey, I mean, I feel like this program is pretty good.
What is it called, baby steps?
Yeah, it does the baby steps. I feel like I don't know that it's the most ideal way, but if you follow that, I mean, you're gonna win. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. Yeah, you follow this, I think it's like 7 baby steps or something, and, I think he's got.
And what's the whole one?
Debt-free, right?
Yeah, so his thing is like step by step, you follow
Is
this.
it to get out of debt, or what
Yeah,
is it?
no, just, according to him, in 15 years, on average, you follow this program, you become a millionaire.
Okay.
And so you just.
What year are you on?
What
year?
Financial security is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, like right now, I don't own anything except for my house. Oh, 60 grand on my house, that's it. I don't know, credit card, car payment and stuff. I mean, if my car breaks down right now, I'll go buy new cash. I'm not worried that, I'm gonna go take out a loan and have to pay all this interest back. If you do it right, it just, you get more freedom and, all that.
But it takes baby steps.
It takes discipline. It goes back to,
Yeah.
you gotta, it wasn't like, I really don't want to like crypto, it just, every time I get paid, put a little bit of money aside.
No, that's good. So you saying no debt other than your house?
Like 60 grand on a house, that's all of that I got.
And you don't take in any new?
So I have credit cards, but I pay them off every month,
Yeah.
and I get points and stuff.
See, that's what me and my wife do.
Yeah.
I pay all of my household bills on my credit card,
Yeah.
and I pay it off every month just to keep it. that
Yeah,
credit
yeah. So like, we're trying to, like in this November, December, we're trying to get a trip to Thailand. But like, I have I don't have to pay for, I could probably get a trip to the moon if I wanted to with my points. And I don't pay, I don't pay for it, the credit cards. Anytime I pay for anything, I throw out a credit card at the end of the month. As long as I have money on it, pay it off.
Pay it all out.
Yeah.
Rather than make any minimum commitments or anything.
Well,
Yeah,
that's,
the minute
that's,
you-
like I said, that's what we do is, my electric, my water, all my household bills, I pay on the credit card. It took us a while to get to it. It didn't happen overnight, and keep in mind, I'm older than you guys, so it's a process. But once you get to that process, it makes life so much easier because you have X amount of dollars coming in. Well, instead of just paying that, I have this credit card that's gonna keep my credit going because I don't have any debts. I have no mortgage, I have no car payments, I have nothing other than my credit cards that we keep revolving. And that's how it keeps our credit revolving, is by doing that for the stop.
No, he said 15 years.
Right.
Send me that, bro. I'm trying to be a millionaire.
Well, and then his program, like, he does a study, and the top 10 professions that are millionaires. And believe it or not, school teachers are, according to the ranking. School teachers are, not doctors not, but a teacher is. They're just saying like, doctor just went blow all their money and, broke. They're looking paycheck to paycheck, they're making like 300-400 grand a year.
What about service numbers?
I don't think buying Mustangs at 18 is a good idea.
No, that's a good one. If you could send me some more information on that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And then if you could too, your guy you were talking about,
Yeah.
possibly get him in on one of these one day and see what he's talking about. But yeah, I like it. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is just to, keep chipping away at that debt, the biggest thing to do is kind of prioritize your savings too. So if you can, when you get that paycheck, just toss a little bit into your savings, pay down your debt, and just keep, that accountability going. Like, if you got to check in with yourself once a month, be like, okay, how much am I contributing to your savings? Hey, do that. Set that reminder on your phone if you got it. Just make those little steps, and eventually, you're going to get to where you want to be in your savings and your credit. So.
What percentage do you put away, Ricardo?
I try to every paycheck, $600 to put away. And
Oh,
I got,
financial?
yeah, each paycheck, my wife's paycheck too.
All right,
Then I have my military money, same thing.
right.
And then, what was I gonna say? Oh, and I got a high interest savings account, and then I have investments. So I put all myself in a high interest savings account, I get 5% back, which most banks don't have a 5%.
What bank do you have?
It's called
That's nice.
Everybody say close.
Yeah, CIT Bank, Yeah, it's at 5% interest.
Okay.
High yield savings account.
That's
So I got, so
Was there a
6 months.
minimum?
Well, I'm sure there's.
So you gotta have 5,000 in there
To start.
to get that high rate.
Right.
If you don't have that, then you'll still get a decent rate, but it's like this. So you put they say 3 to 6 months of living expenses, have that saved. In case, something happens, emergency fund, you have that money. And that's what the next money.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I got money in investments like, index funds and that kind of thing.
Yeah, dude, maybe we'll have you teach them.
That's the idea, right?
I see that portfolio.
Yeah.
But on the same token, because you and I are kind of similar with that, it didn't happen overnight.
Oh, right, yeah, it takes this.
It's-
So 2020 happened, I was not prepared for that shit.
Yeah.
I was like worried, like, oh man, this is terrible, what am I gonna do, what if I get laid off, whatever, And I'm like, never again. That was like, all right, I need to, if COVID part 2 happens,
Yeah.
I'll be ready.
So did you start paying off that first or saving first?
Yeah, so I followed the Dave Ramsey thing, and his thing is you put $1,000 away for baby emergency fund.
Yeah.
And then you throw everything at all of that.
Right.
We owed $12,000 on the car, I had $24,000 on my student loans, I had all this crap.
Right. You just pushed it all.
And more than, like, if you find, you, like, listening, and he'll be like, dude, eat rice and beans and rice.
Yeah,
So you,
I've heard him say that. I've heard him say that,
that's when that ramen, whatever you gotta do.
You was in jail, you put your mind in, you was like, I'm taking this to the full
You pay
extent.
all your credit card debt, all that stuff, you pay that all off. And then go on to the next baby step, and then the next baby step. And then his thing is you pay off your house. And then I don't agree with that, but that's a whole nother, but if you follow Dave Ramsey, you will do well, right? You just follow that, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I said, like with more with us and my wife, we don't have a mortgage anymore, but we still make that mortgage payment, quote unquote, to a separate account. Every month, I'm paying like $1,300 to that account. I'm paying a mortgage, even though it's just sitting in the bank, but every month. So that way it's built in my brain, so that way when we decide to retire down south, I've got a nice little nest egg to start something.
And plus you're paid off, you know what I'm saying, house already that you got and all of that, so you can just.
The thing with all of this stuff is time is huge.
Be patient, don't get frustrated.
Well, and so like I said, I see these vets like in their 60s and they're struggling, right? And then it's like, if someone had this conversation with them 40 years ago, you know, they would be in a way better position. I didn't start doing this until my mid-30s, and I'm like, man, I should have done this when I was in my 20s.
Right.
But what 20-year-old wants to hear about any of this?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to hear about retirement. Because you're like, oh, whatever, I'll do it later. I'll do it later.
You think you got your whole life.
Oh,
to do
yeah,
it.
but dude, like, if you start every 7 years, if you, like, on an index fund, if you invest in the market, every 7 years, your money doubles. So if you put $5,000 when you're 20-something, 7 years, that's gonna double. And then another 7 years, and then by the time you're 80, you got a huge nest egg. You know, to keep throwing money at it.
Should do nothing, ain't doing this.
Well, that's
You can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but come on.
Yeah, you're right, you're right. You can't, I agree.
okay, well, then you can retire early to do it, right?
You see Pete that comes after Pete is 84 years old. You know what Pete's always doing? Going places, doing things. Like Pete does a lot still. You can still
You
live
doing it like
with
how
him.
you doing
He
this?
got a girlfriend and everything, bro. He got a wife and a girlfriend. It's
60, yeah, you got 80 now.
you can still live, but then you set yourself up for you set yourself up for if you need to go to like assisted living, you know what I mean? Like these the retirement homes, like there are those places that will you get the best of the best.
I mean, if you start early enough, you can retire in your 40s.
Yeah.
You know, but you gotta be disciplined, and it's hard, like, when you're 20, you wanna go party, I get it, I was we were all 20-something, wanna go hang out and party and all that stuff, but it's like, if you budget it, all right, this is my party money, this is my money that I'm gonna invest.
A lot of party, bro. I get a lot of party.
Well, like you said, it comes down to discipline, not saying, you can still go through things, you just have to limit what you do.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing wrong with indulging, you know?
And then you see people on social media, like, oh, you got this fancy car, and you're like, oh man, like, they're doing better, like, no, they're not. They got that debt, they don't post that, oh, look at my debt, they don't post
I think
that.
my biggest thing right now is like my impulsive spending.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
right.
I tell myself, like, okay, this is my budget, but then like when I go to the mall, it's like,
Oh, dude, I get Amazon packages.
Exactly. No, it's like-
That's a discipline that
Yeah.
it really takes a hard commitment.
Yeah.
Because you have to have a goal, whatever your goal, and not another goal is to find a common. Stop going by a lot.
It's not going to law.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, I use that for like an example, but like when I go out, like I go home to the ocean, like it's impulsive spending.
Well, then it's like, all right, I'm gonna spend $100 tonight, and I go out. Then you're like 3 drinks in, and you're like,
Keep coming.
That's
Buy some balls.
That's why we have more than one main account. We have, and I've had that for a long time. I have 2 checking accounts. I have one that I'll put X amount of dollars in, and that's my play fund. So if I wanna do that in the mall, go out and party, I know.
he's gonna get declined at some point.
That's all what you think about. Yeah, that's how
I don't take that other main part with me. That stays home. That's my responsible, that's responsible shop. Your responsible shop is this, and I have X amount of dollars, and that's what we're doing.
And I think it's the company in keep too, right? Like they say, you hang around 3 millionaires, you're likely to be the 4th millionaire.
Right.
You hang around 3 people at the bar spending their money all night, so you're the 4th one to know. So it's having that mentality of, like I said, just like this, don't go to the mall first off, you know what I mean? What are you doing if you're not doing that? Or places that you are spending that, change the company you're with, let them know this is why you.
Change your routine.
Yeah. It's hard, like I said, it's hard, but it's that discipline, it's that same.
Well, and then
mentality.
like, I mean, you see it, you're like, every day at work, man, like, I'm so tempted to eat all the snacks and shit. And then, like, you know, it takes discipline, dude. Like, all right, I guess I'll have a Kit Kat, but
Yeah.
that means that later on tonight, you know, I gotta watch what I eat, so if I'm sitting here eating Kit Kats and all the other stuff, you know, it takes discipline.
Doesn't help, but I'm like, hey man, you want some pizza?
Yeah.
They're like, no, man, I'm trying to eat that.
That's right. Dang.
You get to a point where you just screw it.
Yeah.
You get to a certain age, and you just like, why?
Yeah, I mean, you guys ever need help with that stuff, man, let me know.
Yeah, I'll get a blank thing.
Next month, like I said, we'll do it again next month. Any ideas, that's what I always say, like, any ideas to help this, to keep it growing?
Yeah, that bank account thing with the high yield, let me know, man. CIT bank, that's what I
I'm gonna
use.
look it up.
5% interest at.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, Rich, what are you thinking about for next month? What is your idea?
Good question. I probably just touch base on scams, you know, they do that. Whether investment scams, pig butchering, stuff like that. Pig butchering is not a brutal term, but it's just investments is what it is. I could cover that.
All right.
Or if there's anything else that you guys would recommend or want some more.
Yeah, that's a good one. I feel like the hard part is getting through all the noise, right? You see,
Oh,
you're on TikTok and you see all this bad financial advice. And you're like, oh, yeah. Like, you know, my brother's talking about opening up a whole life insurance plan or whatever. And I'm like, dude, like, I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, because it's, you know, I'm going to invest in it. But he's like,
Yeah, set up.
yeah. You know, there's certain things, like, he saw a TikTok video and all of a sudden, you know, he's all about whole life insurance or whatever, and it's like, yeah, that's terrible.
Yep. All right, so I guess we'll go over that and potentially some other stuff. Like I said, if anybody,
Yeah, I feel that's a big one, getting through the noise. If you can, like, tell people, like, hey, like, when you hear something, like, be careful with this, be careful with that, you know.
Yeah,
Maybe you
there's
see a video every now and then on TikTok or whatever, and, you know, be careful what kind of advice you get or you learn from those things.
Yeah, you can be contacted by younger kids, like younger customers, they come in and saying, hey, you know, someone cut me this check online because he wanted to buy my Instagram photo. I'm like, it's a bad check. And it's like, what are they doing? But, you know, thankfully we caught that ahead of time before they went and sent it.
Yeah.
So, avoid that loss there. But, yeah, I'm having smart.
Yeah.
no, scams are real, so that'll be real. I guess that's it. Anybody got anything else? All right. Thank you again.
Of course.
Is it this one, Carl? The platinum series?
Yeah. I think it's $5,000, $5,000, you get $5,000 back.
Thank you, sir.